I think we talked about this last meeting. Actually, I think the button
Letty,
was go
I said
live.
water.
Oh, God. She's swearing all
We're
the
not
way
starting
over here.
I was on the phone with John. I didn't see the text.
Oh.
She's on so many boards that she usually just stands up and fixes it, you know?
All right, so to start the meeting all over,
Yeah.
No.
I apologize. I'm used
It
to.
makes even feel better. We have an excellent connection.
We do,
According
yes.
to-
According to the computer.
All right, so I'll definitely reach out to Eric. There seems like there's some physical obstacles out there. If the dam's going to be up or not, I mean, he helps us run the event, so I'll definitely touch base with him and see if it's even feasible for this fall time.
It's a good event, and the only other thing I would say is last time we got a couple people from Riverwoods, but I don't know if there's a way to target that community more. But they said that there's more people there, because I paddled down with them and met the couple and whatnot, and they said, yeah, there's a lot of people who'd be interested, but they just don't know about it, so maybe they don't think to check the website.
What I'll do is I'll go down to some of those developments and go to their rec rooms and just drop some like flyers off
Yeah.
or something.
Right.
Twin Ponds and like the big community over there.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then Mill Pond Road.
Oh, and at the end, it would help if someone were designated to help them out of the kayak or canoe. I did that last time, but everybody else bolted. Everybody else was gone, and there was this one lady, older lady, who couldn't get out without assistance. So I was happy to help her, but I don't know how she would get out otherwise.
It's a good suggestion. I mean, in general, you've been
yeah.
sitting there for a few hours, your legs are in
Your
slumber.
bones tend to go, no, mine do.
I'm just jotting all this down. Anything else with the paddle? All right. The 4th of July parade. Permits already been sent. It should be approved within the next week or two. I got the flags.
Yep.
The one thing that I thought we had, and I guess we don't, are the bracelets. Did you want me to,
Yeah.
or do we want to go ahead and get some bracelets? Okay.
That way that.
Those weren't expensive. Like,
For the 4th of July.
Kinda like the-
They're like the rubber, they just wear the American flag, they're rubber band
They're-
bracelets.
they were
And
super cheap.
During the parade, we were handing them out to kids.
I didn't know if we were doing something more exciting
no, so we'll be passing out.
for
Yeah.
adults. And
No keg.
No,
No.
no. This is the family 4th of July parade.
Yeah.
We'll be passing out, flags and some
Yeah.
bracelets to the participants. We normally will give out either medals or trophies to some of the best floats or
Nice.
walkers, whatever it is. And then that's, I think, a good segue to maybe turn the floor to Julie, because
Sure.
she's a big help with the parade itself. And
So we have, like I said at the last meeting, we have Kona Ice is confirmed, so they will be there for when the parade ends. Families that are actually parked at, with their chairs at Swayze like they were last year, they'll be there early, so if people are sitting there and they have the little ones with them, they can just go back and forth to Kona Ice. Finally, after calling about 8 food trucks, I finally, after grinding to try to get somebody to call me back, I heard back from I think it was the guy from the Winter Walk. He was the guy, he had the little, it looked like a little house, but he had the best like barbecue mac and cheese. That's all I remember. So I had a voicemail yesterday, so I'm just gonna call back to see, they just wanted to know like timing and all that stuff and if they can make it work, so. Fingers
Perfect.
crossed, I'm hoping that they
Perfect.
can do it. I'd like to have at least another truck there, so for food and stuff.
I think we're making great progress. We're
Yeah,
able
we're
to.
on top of it all,
I think
so.
The idea when we had changed the routes was like, it was like a reset, but then we could slowly start building off of this. And I
Yeah.
really think each and every year
Yeah.
we're showing that, so.
Yep,
And that will be on Thursday, July 4th.
correct.
Seniors, today was the last luncheon until September. We will keep our weekly Tuesday ceramics and yoga classes going over the summer. But we will give them a heads up, if we expect a a real rainy day, we'll have to cancel it because the BRC is our rain shelter for the kids.
Andy, just out of curiosity, what's the turnout like for the ceramics and chair yoga usually? Is that
Chair-
pretty robust?
I would say chair yoga is probably I'll go on the low end. I'd say 15 plus. There's a lot of times I see 20 plus in there, and that's probably a little bit more accurate, but to downplay a little bit, I would say 15 plus. Ceramics, on the other hand, I would say it's a very loyal group of 3 to 5 people that shows up every week.
Really?
Yeah, and seniors as a whole, I mean, Jason and I had some great talks today. I don't know necessarily if like we brought up any like ideas we wanted to try, but we are trying to think of ways to think outside the box or do some overhauls, whether it's to increase participation or to just look at other avenues, what we could do. You know, maybe we could have more things of interest at the community center other than just Tuesday chair yoga and things like that. You know, I'm hoping that we can ramp up our trips. I mean, that's something I've been trying to work with Kingston with. We floated the ideas around of not getting rid of, but condensing some of the luncheons. I'm very happy with the participation we're getting, but it's still not back to where it was previously.
I can reach out to my mom. She used to actually be a participant and ran the office of the Raymond Senior Center. So I'll see kind of, offhand, I don't remember some of the things they did, but I'll see if she can just give me a list of things that we may not do that may be exciting for our group of folks.
Any and all ideas, I would
Yep.
love them. Everything I've done in my time here has been based off of, you know, participation feedback. And I think that's a good premise to go off of. But when I speak to like Newmarket, Atkinson, you know, Dover, like other towns I know that has a thriving senior center, you know, I'm not saying this is the right answer, but the common theme I'm finding is that they all have a tight-knit group of senior volunteers. And I personally think that's what we're missing right now. You know, it's the whole, you get out what you put into it, right? And I'm not saying that it's, you know, the seniors' fault, but I would like to have them more skin in the game because, again, like when we did this apple picking trip, the holiday shopping trip a few years ago, that was all feedback. Hey, we would love to do this. And then no one would sign up for those things.
Sure.
You know, we started the senior center, and the whole idea was like, hey, you've been saying you want a place to come in for a cup of coffee, socialize. You know, we put couches in there, bookshelves. And again, we have a very loyal group that goes, and I love it, but it's just not exactly what I had envisioned. So I'm hoping to think outside the box, think of ways where we can encourage or incentivize senior participation so we can continue to offer, you know, great services and programs.
Sure.
So they bring, go ahead.
No, okay. I think you should make a concerted effort, maybe with the ceramics, to have a flyer that goes out to the 3 Ponds specifically, because I think they have like 150 houses now. And also to, you know, the Mill Pond, any of the over 55s, because the bigger ones have their own, you know, things happening. And I'd make sure that there was nothing interesting happening on Tuesday morning, because if that's if they have something
Yeah, if they're
interesting
doing
Tuesday morning,
something,
they're gonna
right.
go to their thing right there instead of our thing, or, you know. So I think that may be the difference, you know, having a bigger group or not, but there's so many people there that we're not tapping into. And I would target like with a flyer or something. like,
Okay.
say which morning of the week is best for, you know, like what other mornings you have free, obviously not Saturday. but- Okay?
Who are they after?
You know, like just to, you know, it's silly not to try to get all the seniors together.
No, absolutely. I mean, I've definitely have done that in the past, but that's something we can continue to do. I will say, when I go down to, I can't remember which one, I'll go drop off flyers. I'm like, these are pretty nice pickleball courts. What are these doing over here? You know? So,
Right.
They got some nice facilities at some of these places, but I'll keep pushing the envelope there because, I mean, I think you're right. You know, that's how we're going to increase participation.
So am I thinking of this correctly, where there's an instructor who brings in pottery wheels and things like that?
No,
Or
it's like little paint your figurine stuff, so it'll be
Yeah.
like precast things and you just paint.
They're pre-made.
Oh.
They're pre-made.
Oh,
It-
No,
Correct.
right.
I see.
I would say probably the more correct term is probably called painting.
Okay.
But
Yeah. But it's called ceramics, like.
I let the
Ann has it.
instructors
It's
call
always
their
ceramics.
classes what they want.
Yeah, it's ceramics, it's not pottery, it's just that they're
Got it.
painting
Yes.
ceramics.
Thanks.
Yep,
But we are, I probably should have put this in here, in early October, and this will be open to the community, but again, it's trying to have seniors in mind first, but we are gonna be doing a sourdough bread making class in October.
oh sweet.
You know what goes great with sourdough? Bread making? Chili.
Chili Fest, that's what I'm hearing over here, right?
The idea of a chili cook-off.
I-
We could take advantage of how centrally located Brentwood is.
Yeah,
I'll be there, I love chili.
It would be amazing. I mean, these are folks that, have a depth of experience when it comes to food and
Fall time would be a real good
Yeah.
time to do that.
yeah.
trying to get them on board now as far as like, hey, is this something you guys would be interested in and being a significant part of?
I like
It'd be
that.
Really, really cool for them. And cool for the community at large.
Like that.
That does sound kind of cool, homemade sourdough
Oh, yeah.
Chili. Chili.
and
Spicy chili.
Oh, yeah.
Has to be spicy chili.
Yep.
National Night Out. I haven't had the chance to meet with PD yet. I know Doty and I had passed each other. He's like, hey, we need to talk about this soon. To my knowledge, it should be the first Tuesday of August, which, if I remember correctly, it's August 6th. That's my really only real update with that. I know I spoke with Shankar earlier this week, and not to put you on the spot, but I know we had talked about the idea of a potential table so we can spread the word and talk about cricket a little bit more. So,
I think that's a great
I'd,
idea.
I'd be totally open to that to the other leagues too, but with this being a rec-specific program and we're trying to grow the interest, I at least offered
Well, we
that,
had,
so.
the first one I went to was just this past one last year. Wasn't like SIG, and there was like
Yes.
4 other tables where they, why not have our own brand?
That's what I was
teams?
thinking,
Yeah.
we have a whole bunch of people that show up in that
Yeah.
2 to 3 hour time span and,
Yep,
why not highlight one of our
information,
programs even
yeah.
more?
for sure.
is it a fall sport or is it a spring sport?
It's a spring sport. Well, actually, I shouldn't be saying that. We have it scheduled in the spring. I am not the cricket guy, but I'll ask our cricket coach.
It's all weather sport, like
Oh,
you
wait,
can,
what are you doing? Like, I just think, that
we do a
not,
spring program.
the spring, yeah, and that might be too far ahead. I'm just saying August 6th, that's spring.
Yeah, but believe it or not, if you get them
Honestly,
thinking about it in October,
yeah.
Okay, I'm
Putting
not
it in the
gonna-
We're
brains
doing
of
spring and
people.
summer this time, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Run into August.
Yeah.
And giving more public awareness. That
Yeah.
we
I think
have
that's-
a program available.
I think that's what we're
It's-
looking for.
Yeah.
It just plants the seed no matter what time of year.
yeah.
Would you need any other people from other towns to come in for a fall sport that we don't have very much participation in, like outside of Brentwood?
no.
I mean,
It's good.
yeah, fall sports is good. We probably have less technical offerings in the fall, but we're just as busy. Because like right now, flag football, I consider that, a fall sport, and they're only down in our spring. They're only using our fields during the spring like one day, but that turns into 6 days over the fall time. Soccer, who's pretty active down there during the springtime, is even more rampant during the fall
So you're okay,
time.
You don't need other, I just
Yep.
thought if some people. come to-
And we,
Fall we've done well with.
we have,
Always.
and we've moved field hockey to the fall.
Yep.
So we're still offering that. But to my knowledge, I think that's it for the most part. But we also have other things that are going on during the fall, like the Haunted Walk, the Fall River Paddle. We're going to have our Fall 5K
Yeah.
very early October. So, we are definitely busy in the fall time.
Yep.
And then we kind of,
On the 5K, Andy, I just want, this is optional, and it's just an opportunity to connect with somebody who really knows how to raise lots of money doing these. I think I mentioned this before, but I did talk to my friend who runs the Newington 5K.
yep.
5 miler, and he's willing to chat with us if we are interested in that. I'm not forcing it, I'm just offering it if you guys, if that would be helpful.
Absolutely. If you could possibly connect us or either get me his, or you can share my contact info with him, I think that would be wonderful. I did email Bridget Zacher because I've heard she's really good with trying to, fundraise and help out with things like that. I haven't gotten a response back, not saying that she won't, but I did reach out there.
Text her.
I did hear back from Collins. Our shirts, because they haven't been washed or been used before, because, they've just been sitting in a locker, they will be able to reprint.
On
And
the
all-
sponsors?
On the back,
Yeah.
yes. So
Awesome.
because of that, we should be reaching out to sponsors regardless, but we can get them on there. And I'm gonna try to get Collins to also help sponsor the event itself, because they do it quite a bit for this type of stuff. So we're good there. Our permit's approved.
Yeah.
Flyers have been out. I believe we're charging, if I remember correctly, $40 a person. We're starting and ending at Swayze, the old Arkell route.
Yeah.
And I think the only big thing at this point, outside of trying to get fundraising, sponsors, but, it's just making sure we have enough volunteers for the water stations and things like that. But the good thing about doing a lot of this work last year is most of it's done.
Yeah,
So.
the earlier the better. And Mark Hannick, you've been working with him for doing all this stuff?
Yes, I got to text him back, but I sent him the flyer today. I know he had asked for that, so.
Sure. Yep.
But yeah, I've been trying to work with him as much as possible.
Good.
While this is a community event, he's the one that kind of brought this to our attention. So
Correct.
I would like to try to keep him involved if possible.
Yep.
Excuse me. So that kind of brings me to the point of just capital projects. I think we're doing really well on time. I figured, not that I'm setting aside X amount of time, I figured this could be, we had a lot of great talks.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks ago. I figured this could be a good point to do a general overview, a summary of how I took that meeting and kind of throw it out there for further discussion if needed.
Can I ask a status update of when the side fields will be cleaned up, like by the pavilion, by the bow hunters?
John, do you have any more updated info on the clearing of the pickup of the clearing by the pavilion?
No, I don't, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'll talk to, I'll put it on my list right now to talk to Wayne about, and if that doesn't solve it right away, then I'll talk to Karen.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we did a walk.
That's on me. I take responsibility for that.
No, it's okay. I happened to do a site walk for Peach Project because we have to reroute some stuff, which is not a problem. And it was, now that actually I just looked at it from a distance and actually walking it, hoo-ha,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
dangerous.
Yeah.
So,
No, absolutely. So we'll
Especially with I feel like on the weekends, with flag football, there's a lot of cars over there.
There's just kids.
Like just
Yeah,
getting into, kids.
we'll
kids
stay
will
on
get-
top of it. We'll get it done.
yeah. All right. Awesome.
Yeah, so I guess just a brief overview and please stop me dead in my tracks if I misspeak here, but it seemed the vibe that we were getting was a multi-pickleball tennis court pavilion area where the current Olsen Field is. We did have Dan Provost from the baseball side of things from EJBSL. He was able to meet with Jason this past Friday. And stop me if I misspeak here, but it sounds like trying to make the current Olsen Field space work is putting a square peg in a round hole. It's just not going to happen. He did think that the best place to put a baseball field is where the old Babe Ruth field is. We still have the backstop, we have the dugouts. I definitely think financially it would make more sense to put something there. So I think on the surface that makes a lot of sense. I do want to highlight the domino effect of the spring season, what goes there. So I would obviously love to see that happen. We get to keep cricket in that space there. But again, we need to also figure out, okay, well, who gets bumped now? Well, we got to now figure out space for lacrosse during the springtime and whatnot. So I definitely think we should be putting that type of stuff on our radar, whether it's field expansions or whatever it is, because, not that I'm planning solely around lacrosse, but I know that association is having a hard time trying to field and have their games in Exeter, and they really want to bring not just the Brentwood teams, but they want to bring that league here essentially, and they're
EJBL league or lacrosse?
EYLA
Okay.
lacrosse, and their busy days are Sundays, which typically speaking is one of our downside days. So I do think long-term wise, it does make a lot of sense to try to keep everyone happy and try to keep everyone using our fields. But
And we can't do that,
I-
because of the turf, is that what?
I just think between, so for youth, so if we had an adult softball game going on the St. Hilaire field, that would probably interfere with an EJBSL baseball game.
It will.
It would.
But for youth, it wouldn't. And 95% of the time when those games are taking place, that's when it's going to be. The only thing we have during the spring school season that's adult is the Sunday league. And for the most part, outside of our cricket program or public users of our facilities, no one's down there on Sundays. So I don't think moving them over, and that space is called the Nolan Field. We're still info gathering on the history and the traditions and trying to be respectful of the Nolan family. But whether it's Nolan or Olson, our lower field does not have a name. So one of those places will get renamed into that.
Are we using the lower field? Lacrosse doesn't play down there? I mean, that field is just massive.
It depends the day. So like
Like
a Wednesday, right now they're down there. They're on the lower
Okay,
field.
so like if we had 2 youth baseballs on Sunday or whatever, or we couldn't let them because adult softball was playing, they could still use the lower field on Sunday.
Yes, yes, on Sunday, correct. But now I'm talking about the midweek stuff. So they're practicing. So the days they're on the upper field, soccer's on the lower field. And then the days I put lacrosse on the lower field, soccer's now on the upper field. Well, if we're trying to have this diamond be used for both practices and games, it doesn't make any sense to try to put all those spots up there. It would have to be just a baseball and a softball field.
Do we have lights there?
We have light towers, which I would love to figure out a way.
I was gonna say, can there be
Movable.
They're
They're
movable.
wonderful. They're movable.
Can there be night games and night practices?
We can, but I would like to build that into how we would rent that out into their pricing. I do know when I tried selling this a year ago to the softball side of things of EJBSL, they said that if it was a football game, they could make it work. With a baseball game, they don't think they could have a night game with our towers.
Not enough light.
No, it was too much. You're getting blinded by
They were blind.
so you're not gonna catch a fly
Catch a
ball.
ball. Okay.
I personally think it's still possible because you can turn the lamps.
I was gonna say, I was just
You-
gonna say, couldn't you like shift the lamps in such a way that it could be?
I think so.
Well, is it a function of how tall the tower is? Because EJBL had lights in Kensington. They still have lights in Kensington.
I mean, I don't know the exact height of our tower, but it's got to be 20 plus feet that it goes. And if you're putting a light, let's say behind home plate, right outfield and left outfield, I personally think that's enough for a game, and I think that would light up the
The
whole
kids
area.
love playing under the lights.
Oh, yeah.
When I
Which would also expand field usage time.
Yeah.
It'd be tough during the school week because
Kids gotta go to bed, but.
they gotta go to bed, but yeah.
Yeah.
sorry.
I have a question. So when you're practicing maybe lacrosse, right? Baseball's got to obviously be practiced on a baseball field. I understand that. But like lacrosse, do they need a full field to play for practice?
Yeah. You ask a lacrosse coach, they'll say yes.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say because like the field by where the
That-
bow hunters are, I mean,
Well, that's
we don't do anything.
That's gonna potentially get turned into the parking lot.
I know, but temporarily to
I-
house them until we can make more fields.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
And the Olsen Field too, like, what is the Olsen Field now?
I just don't know
Nothing's
if the
going there.
pavilion space back there is safe enough. I think we'd get rolled ankles. I mean, there's potholes and stuff out there. I mean, that's where the archer targets sit out
100%.
there.
What about the Olsen Field? Is a for non?
That space, it would be too small for lacrosse.
It's oddly shaped, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I was just thinking for practice, you can run drills, you can throw
Right.
balls, you
Yeah.
know.
I would, my
I
only,
hear what you're saying, 'cause it's almost like if I had a basketball team, we would just practice in a half court or something
Right.
like that.
We do it all the time for basketball.
Right.
You know, half court practices is very normal.
Right.
For us, I was just putting it out there as an alternative location until
temporary.
maybe we have more field.
I mean, this is gonna be an issue. I mean, we're already in this season. So this season to me is as is,
As
right?
yeah, it's gone already.
So we're looking at 2025.
We're looking at, yeah, 25 and beyond. And
Definitely would
I
have
think,
the night stuff.
I think for
then.
us, the only thing with the nights, again, it goes back to, I think it only solves a problem for 1 to 2 days. There's still the school week itself. No one's gonna wanna practice beyond 8 o'clock. I think
I can
long-term
see
wise,
for younger kids, and the reason why I speak this is now that my son's gonna be leaving 8th grade and going to the high school, every year their basketball practices go up an hour. So his practices are pretty much like he gets home at like 9:30. I feel like if it's older kids, that's okay. But it definitely should be an option that is added to the table just to kind of toss around.
Have we
think
ever
as a
used
de-
Swayze too, to use the field next to the school?
I can ask, we'd probably have to pay for it, but I can ask.
But the field is outside, they don't need to have the building open.
But we still, because it's school property, we still may have to pay.
And it's.
Yeah.
and
So I will reach
Parents'
out. I will
liability.
reach
It's
out.
it's
It's town property, yeah.
It's town property.
But we still pay for the gym.
Because we have to
Right.
have someone to open the building, that's what we're paying for, we're paying for the janitor to be there. But it's worth an ask, that field's huge,
Yeah,
and
it
you could
is.
easily play the crossover there.
Yeah.
I think it's probably important to point out that number one, I did raise the idea of the community center with a multi-purpose room, gym, basketball court, whatever we want to call it, for that we had discussed at the visioning session that would include the bathrooms. Everyone was very tired. I want to be fully straight up with you all about that, but it seemed to be that people were. My interpretation was that people were generally positive about the idea. I've also had extremely unofficial but straightforward conversations about having discussions regarding a facility like that, which could have use cases that would dovetail with the school. And I think that there's a willingness to at least have a dialogue with the SAU to help to see if there are opportunities for kind of joint funding for something like this. And then the other relevant piece here is that I rate the Economic Development Committee voted unanimously to support searching for and hiring a part-time grant writer, grant researcher and writer, and that could also have relevance when it comes to looking at some of these projects. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of those things as y'all were discussing.
I think,
Well done.
I think that's great stuff.
Yeah, but back to my point on the field and the school, I think it's worth the ask, which could get us through this fall season and the spring season, right? To have that one more field.
I
you
think
know?
fall we're,
Worst they say is
I think
no.
fall we're okay.
But either
but-
way, but
I will definitely ask about field usage just in general. Hey, can we use this for programming?
Yeah.
I know they
I
have a
do
YMCA
think-
program after school, but that's done at like 5 o'clock or something.
I think as a department too, this is a good chance to also look at, I think I personally want to make everyone happy. That short-term wise, that might not be the case, but what is an issue we are having with the facilities? It is parking. So am I booking too much on the fields? Is this our chance to hit the brake, dive into these projects and say, hey, and then all of a sudden when we are appropriately able to safely hold
Yeah.
people at these facilities, then we can open it back up. Over
We
time, when I
know-
started,
we know parking is number one.
and when I
so
started in
that's
2018,
hands down.
there was no lacrosse, there was
Right.
no cricket,
Right.
there was no flag football. Like we've added so much now, which I think is a good problem to have, but I still want to keep safety at the forefront.
Yeah.
You're spot on too, Andy. If
Yeah.
you book every inch of the field at
Yeah.
every hour of the day, where do
Yeah.
all the cars go?
Listen, 2025 is gonna come real fast, and so won't 2026. If we have to bump some things out just to get the safety
I
and the
think-
parking factor in, we just do that and we
think-
put a pause.
I think a good angle, both on the baseball front, but maybe even on the lacrosse part as well, is like, hey, we are willing to do X, Y, and Z for the facilities for you. What are you willing to do to help us out with this?
Yep,
Because if they have skin in the game, let's say we do field expansions, let's say we can work on that, we can use the Swayze field and we can put work over there to make it a full-fledged athletic field, then maybe having some of these organizations maybe helping with the funding aspect of it,
yep.
in a way, it's like, hey, you kind of have your own space now.
Yeah, and, EJBL, if they come back to the table with us and they're gonna use, we do need to have a written contract in place.
Absolutely.
More
Yeah, 100%.
handshakes and,
Absolutely.
there has to be some either guaranteed facility improvement, which we'll do all the time, we'll negotiate, or there has to be money exchanged. It can't be this unwritten, they pay nothing.
I would like to treat them like any other organization.
They
If-
are any
if-
other
if-
organization.
If
They're
I go to
private.
Dan and I say, hey, the board wants to make the Nolan Field a baseball field for you, what are you willing to do to help us out? Because other than you, we have no one else using the fields. So, well, we have cricket, but in theory, like, what are you gonna do to be able to meet us halfway? And I'm willing to bypass rental fees if they're helping with the funding.
We've always done that.
We've always done that, so I'm willing to consider the same exact thing with them. But if the expectation is, hey, the town of Brentwood's gonna take care of this, and to be honest, I would rather just keep it a lacrosse field
Yep.
at that point.
Correct, I mean,
Yeah.
there's, I'm sure, a decent fee to play.
Yes.
Yeah,
so-
yeah.
We did have a member in the public, Aaron, raise his hand. Did you wanna make a comment?
Yeah, so since the Nolan Field's going away and parking's your number one issue, why can't we just turn that, since you guys have the excavators, why can't we just expand all of that into a flat parking lot right there? And then you can have your space, and then you have your parking, you solve your issue right then and there, and then we can work on whether it's using the Nolan Field or cutting in up by the gazebo area up there, or whatever gets approved down the road.
Yeah,
Use Olsen Field, no?
so you're saying use the
The-
Olsen Field as
If
parking?
You have a road right there, you can just expand, you could even push up into the other road, level it or get over whatever, dump those trees and expand your parking.
I think, to make that request, they're gonna charge us more money.
Well, I get it. but
So,
Yeah.
If
we
there's a
could,
leftover budget at the end of the year, why?
we can,
I think the idea was, we wanted to try and repurpose it, it's not a bad idea. what you're
Right.
saying,
I mean,
but we
if
did
parking,
not.
yeah, if parking's the sole issue,
No.
like you've got things there, you can just push or utilize it as parking. I mean, I don't know, I haven't looked at, you've looked at it more.
I don't know how many parking spots you'd
I
actually
think
get.
But you would push
20.
across.
I think some of our projects, without getting too detailed, are somewhat tied to other ones. So like bathrooms, for example, we mentioned it at the last meeting that, hey, bathrooms was a high response that the community wants. But, as Val brought up at one of our last meetings, why spend, $200,000-$300,000 when we can spend $500,000 and get a gymnasium and the bathrooms can be a part of it? I think the parking is tied to some other projects like that.
Yeah.
Which is,
Parking, and if, there is support from the town to build this building, and possibly if town hall gets moved over there as well, we gotta relay out the whole,
Right, but that was said that the town hall had nothing to do with that clearance, so.
whether if a town hall building gets put in there or not, the trees were cleared there, so we could expand the parking there.
there.
So that's the idea. I know everyone wants to talk about the municipal building. There's
I don't wanna talk about.
there's a lot into it, but,
We
but
don't either. That'll be a
That was
long,
originally
long,
the intention when we cleared that, to do parking.
I understand the intention, but if you, like.
No,
you
no,
go-
I'm saying, before they even talked about putting the municipal building there,
Yeah.
we were gonna clear that for extra parking.
Yeah.
That's why we wanted it cleared.
and
yeah.
But I just, you got parking there, you just wrap that parking right up, you could wrap the parking from your original all the way up into the existing parking, keep the playground that's donated by whoever, like it's got names on it. And then you've got parking that just wraps all the way around, you would gain about the same square footage from what I looked at on the, what the
Charrette.
theoretical.
Oh, the
idea of
charrette,
New
yeah.
Hampshire is.
I mean, We haven't made any key votes on what's going on over there. I think we can add it to the list of items. Hey, let's make the Olson space parking space.
Yeah, and then you can deal with all that beautiful cleared land, whether it's, Peach Project, walking area, or make it clear, or you can put your new gym up there or whatever, but then you solve that issue. It can't be that much more money to flatten and finish, and then rip the fence out, and then you can make your own walkway and all of that stuff.
Liz, I'll get to you in a moment.
I thought that we had, my recollection was that we had talked about the pavilion at the Olson field space.
I don't think we made an official vote, John, but my takeaway was, I think we all walked out of here with the mindset that the Olson space was going to be refurbished into a multi-purpose pavilion where we could have the ice rink during the wintertime and tennis and pickleball court. So I think we're, from the rec committee, I don't want to speak for everyone here, but I think our minds are on that path right now. I just don't think any,
That's how the meeting ended.
yeah, I don't think any like key decisions or anything official was put in place after that.
Okay, well, that is what I shared with the select board last night. Again, no real big discussion, just that's kind of where our heads were at. And then in terms of parking, the reason I brought up the grant writer and the multi-purpose facility or the community center was exactly what you had alluded to, Andy. That these are playing into other projects that are being considered / underway at the rec. And the last thing on the additional parking, we had talked about using some additional space, over by the lower parking lot. That has come up a few times, I think.
Perfect.
Sorry, I have a really bad echo. It's really.
Liz?
No, you're all good. Liz, I know you've been waiting to make a comment.
Yeah, that's fine. So I was at the Visioning Summit, and I also replayed the select board meeting from last night. So I'm confused about something. So John is mentioning like 4 buildings where we have 1 now. So I'm not quite understanding this. So would we, now that we're doing windows and we did the steps and we're keeping our old rec building.
That's not.
That's not
correct.
going anywhere.
So we were talking about a new pavilion.
Correct.
Which I think the sides were open, but the top was closed, correct?
Yep.
Then we were talking about a new building that would have voting bathrooms and a basketball court. So that's a whole nother building, right?
Yes.
And then we're also talking about a municipal building that's gonna be at least $10 million that would have the police and.
We're not-
This
Yeah.
board is not talking.
We're
about
not talking
municipal.
about the
No, I know,
municipal,
but
yeah.
John Morgan's talking about it.
Sure.
So,
So that's 4 buildings and we only have.
I haven't mentioned the municipal building, Rose. Just
Yeah.
let's
No.
be clear.
At least for here, we've talked about the basketball, the voting, bathrooms in a 1 facility building. Rec is still gonna be there, the pavilion, those are the 3 components that we've talked about as a board. If anything else has been talked about, I mean, everybody's talking about potential of this building here that we're sitting in, a new one's gonna go over at rec. I don't even know when, where, how that's all gonna happen, but that has nothing to do with rec. We wanna focus.
With the space.
Well,
Correct, yeah.
I think it's
No, I know that.
I think it's easy to initially get overwhelmed with what's with everything that's happening on over there. We bring some of these things up because for us to do proper planning long term, we do need to have some form of vision of where these things are going. So when you mention all these buildings, like, yes, that's part of our plans, but our first domino's only fallen with the road. And that's where my mindset is right now, is keeping the facility safe.
So I would like to see a banging building that we have, bathrooms and more parking.
So,
Because this is also gonna have implications for taxpayers. They're doing more at the amphitheater and an elevator or something later, and then you're gonna have whatever the police.
Andy, or Madam Chair, can I respectfully ask that we just kind of stay focused on this being a committee discussion and we can allow public comment at the appropriate time?
absolutely. So just to stay on track, where we're in generality, Olson Space is a multi-purpose pavilion area with the recommendation that Nolan Field gets renovated for EJBSL to have a baseball field. That's where minds are at right now. There's still a lot of things we need to get figured out. I need to speak with AGBSL to see what and how much they're willing to contribute. We still need to sit down. I need to sit down with Kip. Hey, can I get 2 courts in here? Can we do the ice rink here? So I think there's a lot of unanswered questions, but that's the general direction I think we're heading in.
Yeah. I think that's where we keep it because it is a progression. It's going to not be something that is quick. I think that we have like our game plan. Obviously, we had that meeting a week and a half ago or so. Keeping it on track of the first and foremost, we've got boom, safety, boom, parking. Okay, here we go with the next thing, the roads being worked on. And I think that's where we stay. And I always recommend to anybody I know here in the public, continue to come to the meetings because we want everybody's feedback and we want to discuss it. I think everybody, in my own personal opinion, whether I'm a board member or I'm a public-private citizen, I think as long as we just keep those 3 things intact and we continue to build upon it, great. I don't think we should let our minds go away and think of all this other stuff, even though it's been discussed out in the public with folks. Keeping it rec, we just need to stay focused and do the first few things that we're already in the process. Yeah. No, I like all your stuff because you've been bringing up some good stuff, which I think is great. But I think we need to stay focused as a board and as a recreation.
I didn't realize that the pavilion was like kind of like moving forward from last meeting. It seemed like it was more of an open discussion.
It still is.
It's-
and
And it
we had
still is.
takeaways. I think actually you brought it up. Can we keep it as a baseball field? Can we push it out? And,
We can't.
And then we got feedback.
Yeah.
That was a takeaway.
Yeah.
And he was going to go back measure,
Yeah,
and we
then
realized it's not
once
going to
we
happen.
found that out, my suggestion was if parking's the issue, why not turn that into
Yeah.
Yeah.
parking? You can expand your lot all the way down and wrap the whole place.
I think it's an idea worth considering. It should
Absolutely.
not be just
We
dismissed.
still have a huge list of other things that could go on there.
I'm not going anywhere. 'Cause
I think at
I'm
the end of the day,
interested, so I'm-
I'll get you in a second.
all these ideas, we obviously remember that things are moving forward, they're getting better, keeping things on a positive, but there's probably a few different scenarios.
Absolutely,
that we
absolutely.
can go at and look at what we can do for each given space, or how we can maximize everything. You
Yeah.
know, short of doing expensive feasibility studies, what can we come up with even as, a collective?
I also think it's important to highlight to tell the community, like, we heard you a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
We took an actionary step to make the facility safer for you.
Correct.
I think we should continue to highlight that. Jim, it sounded like you wanted to say something.
I did, just the only thing I have to say this meeting is with the last meeting we had about the Olson Field. For me, I'm really focused as a board member now on trying to keep another baseball field so that baseball doesn't lose that field. And it's really not just baseball. For me, cricket is now taking an elevated stance in my mind, and I just really see the potential to grow that. So I encourage the community and thank the two, the leaders of the cricket program and really for baseball of the certain age group here, both are here. I would encourage the community not just to come to the meeting, because honestly, that might not accomplish anything. You need to develop a plan that's going to be superior, because everybody's just throwing around ideas.
Yep.
Ideas just waste time on some level if you don't then take action. Like Aaron, I don't have a way to lay out a baseball field. If it's possible and it's going to work, great. But if it's not, you're more likely to come up with the right solution than I am, is all I'm saying. So if you have the time to be like, hey, dude, can we do this? I'm ready to say, hey, yeah, I want to run with that. I'm just not smart enough to do it myself.
After June 2nd, I'll have plenty of time.
And I think it's important to stress again that, Jason did meet with Dan from the baseball side of things. And that Olson space, it's just not feasible.
That was step one.
I agree
Boom.
with that, and I've met with the board, we need 200 feet on left and right field, and
Right.
they can play through 12 years of age, so
Mm-hmm.
it's just, is the, whatever the field back there is.
It's the Nolan field.
Nolan
Yep.
field, they put a fence up, is that the right thing to do for the fields, or is there something else, and we can talk to baseball about?
I think that's a good question to raise. I mean, again, just feasibility and practicality. I mean, a lot of the structures are already there.
It has a backstop and it has dugouts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to think outside the box. I'd love to sit down with Andy and just.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I have an open door policy. Anyone can come down anytime and come bug me.
I'm running 4 days a week with baseball right now. So
Yeah.
Give me after June 2nd, we can, right?
Absolutely. Did anyone have anything else, either questions or anything to add regarding this specific conversation we have here?
Nope, I'm good.
I just have a quick update on Peach Project because we lost like a chunk of the trail.
Yep.
We are actually, we walk, not too much, a little bit. So we actually think we want to start right behind Nolan Field. So if we start behind Nolan Field, there's an entrance, and then you go across that really cool footbridge. And we're gonna kind of rejigger our trail, and kind of cut out some of that section. We probably won't use that section, so the big neighborhood who did they may not have that section. We might end where we used to enter. Still the same amount of size, we'll find them a new spot. But I wanted to ask, is there anybody we need to like do like clearing with? We're gonna have to clear some staff, or can we just go in and clear? Or do you wanna get back to me on that?
Yes, can you just also let me know who and what's trying to do the work, because I might need certificate of insurances and things like that.
No. I mean,
And-
like, we're gonna go, like clip, we're not gonna go cut trees.
Yeah.
I'm saying we're gonna go and, like, rake and clean.
That's
and
fine.
move
Oh, yeah,
the
you're,
tree.
okay, in that sense, then you're fine.
Yeah, no, we're not cutting down.
My only concern with that space, and I think it makes sense, and I did mention this to Erin when I did a site walk with her, is my only concern with using that side of the trails or whatnot is late fall, early winter can get really wet. So if we're driving vehicles out there, I just want to make sure we're not
No,
creating
I'm
field
sorry.
damage.
We're not going to the backfield. I'm saying we're just gonna start behind Nolan and come out where we've always come out. Or come out where we always enter.
So, but my question is when people, so that's where your walk starts, but are people still walking down the trail to go decorate their trail?
They'll be walking, they can't drive back there. There's,
Well, people were driving their cars out in the field by the pavilion, which doesn't bother me because I
no,
don't really care
there's no
about.
way you can drive. I wouldn't let them drive across the big
Okay.
fields. No, you'll be walking your stuff in the woods.
Okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, you can clear as much up as you want. I just don't want to damage the
There's
fields.
no way to drive cars. There's a baseball field.
There is.
Like,
There
There's
is.
some guys that like.
SWAT vehicle made
I'll
it out
speak for
there.
my neighborhood at the moment, like, they have trailers, maybe they can bring their lawnmower, tractor, and then like
Yes.
carts and stuff that's not super heavy machinery.
Absolutely.
And then be able to use that to shuttle stuff out, so that it's not humans actually
No,
carrying.
absolutely.
yeah. All right, good. I just wanted to make sure, like, we weren't gonna upset. I don't even think it's bow hunters don't use that section. They use part of it maybe, but
No, you should be good to go. I mean, I would always stress and recommend make sure people are wearing bright colors when they're out there.
yeah.
Because there are shooting targets out there, so I don't want anyone
No,
to.
we absolutely
Yeah.
are. So we
That'd be
usually
a
start
target.
this work in September.
Yeah.
That would be good.
So, and it actually might be cool if, because you lost trail on the haunted walk as well.
Yes.
So you maybe want to kind of
I'll do a site walk with you.
do a site walk with us.
Absolutely.
I think it's a great idea.
Because we could kind of mimic it, you know what
Absolutely.
I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up because I love the haunted walk, so I want to keep it going.
Yeah.
I want to keep it going.
And that little bridge is really cool because there's water, like it goes over
Yeah.
water, and you could like put, I don't know, glowing,
glowing
stuff in there
eyes
that
or
looks
something
really
in there.
creepy. Or,
Maybe for the haunted walk, Pat could be underneath the bridge there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a snorkel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did anyone have any other business they'd like to bring
Nope.
to our attention here?
Nope.
Going once, going twice. All right. Oh, we have Pat.
I just have something. So I saw that the fence was up for,
Yes, half of it should be up.
they don't have caps, as we discussed, on top of the holes. I practiced it and the kid almost screwed up his ankle because the things were left wide open, the holes not capped.
Uh-oh.
I'll reach out to Patrick tomorrow. No, and
Like they
his
put
name's
posts
Patrick.
and they didn't cap them.
It's basically a hole.
Yeah,
With
right.
nothing on
With
top.
nothing on
It
it,
should be
So
capped.
the cleat
where it's supposed to be
went in.
capped.
And then they didn't cap it.
It'll be the first thing I do in the morning.
Yep.
I know that was your big concern too.
That, right, hands down.
We'll get that taken care of ASAP.
Nobody wants broken ankles.
No one wants to look like that.
No, now.
All right. Anything else?
Motion to end the
We
meeting.
have a motion from Julie to end the meeting. Second from Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. Yeah, have a good night, John. I probably should have done this before we ended the meeting, but our next meeting date Is everyone okay with the 26th? I should have done this before we ended the meeting. June 26th.